In my earlier videos, I spoke about data center components, laptop, desktop, server, network, storage, and cloud computing types. Now we are going to discuss about Azure fundamentals. That is, for any cloud, these things are the fundamentals. See, when you create an identity in order to log into portal.azure.com, an account is getting created. That is that with that particular account, you'll be able to play with Azure services. That is known as account. As soon as an account is created, along with it a subscription ID is also created. Why subscription ID is created? Subscription ID is created in order to group your resources such as VM, database, storage, network, etc., which is present in the Azure portal. Under subscription, what are the resources that are created will be under the same subscription list. That is the benefit of subscription, which is also used for the billing purpose. What is resource group? Resource group is nothing but a project, a kind of a project folder. For example, if you are working in an automation project, heading of the project is automation, and under that you have various resources. For example, you have servers which are used for that automation project, or database that are used for that automation project. We have various resources. Similarly, in resource group, once a resource group is created, under the resource group, the various resources such as virtual machine, server, database, etc., will be created. That is resource group. What is VNet? VNet is an isolated network. For consider a virtually isolated network under which we create the VMs or database. These resources in the same VNet will be able to communicate with each other. For example, I am creating a VNet known as A, and after some time, I am creating another VNet known as B. In one VNet I have one virtual machine, and another VNet I have a database. I With this VNet and this VNet will not communicate with each other. But if I create another instance under the same VNet A or under B, the two machines which is in that VNet will be able to communicate with each other. For example, in VNet A, I have a machine known as A, and in VNet A, I have a machine known as C, and in VNet A, I have a machine known as D. C and D will be able to communicate with each other. That is known as VNet, which is known as an isolated network. What is public IP? See, your laptop or desktop is assigned with the IP address, which is accessible via the internet. That is known as public IP. Any IP that is provided to you by your internet service provider and which is publicly accessible is known as public IP. What is private IP? An IP in a VNet allocated to a VM and that can be accessed only through virtual private network or through the other machines which is present in the same VNet, uh, will contain an IP address that is known as private IP. What is static IP? An IP that is assigned to a resource which doesn't get changed unless or until the particular resource is deleted. That is known as static IP. For example, you have a laptop and your laptop has a IP address. When you reboot your laptop, that particular IP address will get changed. If you pay for your service provider, they will give you a static IP. That means even if you reboot your laptop, that IP won't get changed. That is known as static IP. What is elastic IP? An IP that can be allocated or deallocated from a resource, which can be attached or detached from a resource, is known as elastic IP. What is public subnet? Subnet in a VNet that has a route pointing to internet gateway is known as public subnet. That is, a public subnet is a subnet which is attached to an instance that has a route to the internet gateway. Through internet gateway, the particular instance will be able to access the internet. What is private subnet? A subnet in a VNet that has a route pointing to NAT gateway. The instances which are present in private subnet will be able to communicate to the internet, but through internet, that particular instance cannot be communicated or reached. That is the NAT gateway. What is VNet pairing? Virtually connecting two or more VNets to form a isolated network. Consider VNet A, VNet B, VNet C, VNet D. You want all these resources to communicate, the resources which is present in this VNet to communicate with each other. You are grouping all these resources and then you form a big isolated network known as VNet pairing. What is cloud region? We have different equatorial regions: Asia Pacific, EMEA, UAE. You have various kind of regions. When you group all these regions, when you group all these regions, it is known as cloud region. What is known as availability zone? See, in these regions, for example, United States of America, we have US Southeast, US Southwest, like that we have various regions. These regions will contain multiple data center, two or more data center. This data center is known as availability zone. What is geographies? When you combine multiple regions present in the Azure environment and to form a network, or for billing purpose, you are grouping all the regions which are in the same country, then that is known as geographies.